At the dawn of the 20th century, the Ottoman Empire stood on the brink of collapse.
Once, it ruled vast lands across Europe, Asia, and Africa. Its power had shaped the course of history for over 600 years. But now, that power was fading. Its territories were shrinking year after year. Its economy was weakening under foreign pressure.
Its people were divided by rising nationalism. European powers gave it a name.
They called it the sick man of Europe. And yet, despite its condition, it would soon enter the greatest war in history. For decades, the empire had been losing control over its lands.
The Balkans had broken away after years of conflict.
North African territories had been lost to European powers.
Internal corruption weakened the government from within.
Reforms were attempted, but rarely successful.
Debt to European banks increased year after year.
The empire depended heavily on foreign influence. Its military was outdated and underprepared.
Confidence in leadership continued to decline.
Many believed the empire would soon disappear.
In 1908, a group known as the Young Turks seized power.
They promised to modernize and save the empire.
They pushed for reform in government and military.
They believed the empire could still be restored.
National pride was reunited among some citizens.
But their decisions would have lasting consequences. They began forming closer ties with Germany. German advisors entered the Ottoman military system. Military strategies started to change under influence. The empire was slowly being drawn into a global conflict. In 1914, World War I began in Europe. The empire initially stayed neutral.
Leaders were unsure whether to join the war.
They knew their weakness. But they also saw an opportunity. Allies promised support and military strength. A secret alliance was formed.
Then came the critical moment.
Ottoman warships entered the Black Sea. They launched an attack on Russian ports.
This attack changed everything.
Russia declared war on the Ottoman Empire.
Soon, Britain and France followed. The empire was now part of World War I.
It had joined the Central Powers.
There was no turning back.
The empire now faced war on many fronts.
In the north, it fought against Russia.
In the south, British forces advanced.
In the west, Allied navies threatened its capital.
Internal unrest began to spread.
The empire was under pressure from every direction.
Its resources were limited.
Its troops were stretched thin. Communication between fronts was difficult. The situation quickly became unstable. In late 1914, Ottoman forces launched an attack in the Caucasus. The goal was to defeat Russian forces quickly. But the plan was deeply flawed.
Soldiers were sent into harsh winter conditions.
Supplies were poorly managed.
Temperatures dropped far below freezing.
Many soldiers lacked proper clothing.
Thousands froze to death during the march. Entire units collapsed before battle.
The offensive turned into a disaster. Over 6,000 soldiers were lost.
The defeat weakened the empire severely. In 1916, a new threat emerged from within.
Arab leaders began a revolt against Ottoman rule.
They sought independence from the empire.
Britain supported them with weapons and strategy. Railways became key targets.
Supply lines were constantly disrupted. Communication networks were destroyed.
The Empire struggled to respond effectively.
One foreign figure became involved. The officer helped organize the resistance. The Empire was now fighting on two fronts, and within.
In 1915, Allied forces launched an invasion at Gallipoli.
Their objective was clear. They wanted to control the Dardanelles Strait.
This would open a path to the capital.
If successful, the empire would collapse quickly.
But the Ottomans prepared a strong defense. Trenches were dug along the peninsula. Soldiers waited for the invasion.
The battle began with heavy naval bombardment.
Then troops landed on the beaches.
Fighting became intense and brutal.
Casualties rose rapidly on both sides. The terrain made advancement difficult. Ottoman resistance remained strong.
A key leader emerged during the battle.
The commander took control!
His leadership inspired the troops. The Ottomans held their ground.
The Allies could not break through.
Eventually, they withdrew.
It was a major Ottoman victory.
Despite victory, the empire continued to weaken.
By 1917, Allied forces gained momentum. British troops advanced through Mesopotamia.
Baghdad fell into British control.
Further south, Ottoman defenses failed.
In 1917, Jerusalem was captured.
This was a symbolic loss.
In 1918, Damascus also fell.
The empire was losing key territories.
Its army was exhausted.
Supplies were running out. Morale was collapsing.
The cost of war was devastating.
over 325,000 soldiers died. Around 400,000 were wounded.
Hundreds of thousands were captured.
Nearly 3 million men had been mobilized.
But civilians suffered even more. Famine spread across the empire. Food became scarce.
Disease spread rapidly.
Entire villages were abandoned. Between 2 and 3 million civilians died. The empire was collapsing internally. By late 1918, defeat was certain.
The Empire could no longer continue the war.
On October 30th, an agreement was signed. This was the Armistice of Mudros. The Ottoman Empire officially surrendered. Allied forces entered the capital. Constantinople was occupied. The empire was dismantled. Its lands were divided. After more than 6 centuries, it ended. But a new chapter was beginning. Resistance movements formed in Anatolia. A leader rose to prominence.
The leader, the goddess Polit, guided the movement.
He rejected foreign occupation.
He organized a national resistance. A new war began for independence.
In that era, a new nation was born.
The Republic of Turkey replaced the empire.
The Ottoman Empire was gone forever.
But its impact remained. Borders drawn after its fall still exist today.
Many modern conflicts trace back to this time. The Middle East was permanently reshaped. World War I ended an empire.
But it also created a new world.
The Ottoman Empire entered the war hoping to survive.
Instead, it vanished from history.
Its fall marked the end of an era.
And the beginning of a new and uncertain future.
The fall of the Ottoman Empire changed the balance of global power.
New borders were drawn across the Middle East by foreign powers.
These borders often ignored ethnic and cultural realities.
As a result, tensions began to grow in many regions.
Former Ottoman lands were divided into mandates.
Britain and France gained control over key territories.
Local populations found themselves under new rulers.
Promises of independence were often broken.
This created deep resentment among the people. The seeds of future conflicts were planted. Economies across the region were left in ruins. Infrastructure had been destroyed by years of war. Trade routes were disrupted or completely lost. Many cities struggled to recover from devastation. Millions of people were left displaced. Refugees searched for new homes and stability.
Societies began to rebuild from the ground up.
But recovery would take many years.
The end of the empire marked a turning point in history. It signaled the decline of traditional imperial powers.
Nation-states began to replace old empires.
New political movements emerged across the region.
National identity became more important than ever.
But with it came new challenges and conflicts.
The legacy of the Ottoman Empire remained complex. Its influence could still be seen in culture and politics. More than 600 years of history had come to an end.
An empire that once dominated continents was no more.
Its rise and fall became a lesson for future generations.
A reminder of how power can fade over time.
And how decisions in war can shape the world forever.
The story of the Ottoman Empire remains unforgettable. A final chapter in the Age of Empires.